It was raining hard that night. Thick drops hit the roof like tiny hammers. The wind howled outside, and the trees bent like they were in pain. Jack sat alone in his small cabin near the edge of the woods, sipping hot tea and listening to old music. He lived far from the city. No neighbors, no visitors. Just peace. But tonight, something felt wrong. Suddenly, knock. The sound was soft but clear. Someone was knocking at the door. Jack froze. No one ever came here. No deliveries. No mail. No guests. He stood up slowly and walked toward the door. The knock didn't come again. Just silence. He reached the door, heart beating fast. He grabbed his old hunting knife from the table, just in case. He opened the door, and his breath caught in his throat. A girl not human was lying on his doorstep. She looked young, weak, and close to death. Her skin was light purple, and her long silver hair was soaked with rain. Her clothes were torn, and her tiny body shook from cold. Jack dropped to his knees. Hey, are you okay?" he asked. The girl opened her eyes slowly. They glowed faint blue in the dark. She tried to speak, but only a soft sound came out. Then she collapsed fully, her face falling into the wet floor. Jack looked around. No ship, no vehicle, no one else. Just this strange girl. Alone. He hesitated. She could be dangerous. Or maybe this was a trap, but his gut told him otherwise. He picked her up gently. She was so light, like a feather. He carried her inside and laid her on the couch. Water dripped from her hair and clothes. Jack lit the fireplace quickly. He wrapped her in a blanket and placed a hot water bottle near her chest. "Please don't die on me," he whispered. She moved slightly. Her eyes opened again barely. Food," she mumbled. Gry." Jack rushed to the kitchen and brought back some bread and soup. He held the spoon to her lips. She tried to eat, but her hands trembled too much. Jack fed her slowly, carefully. After a few bites, she coughed and looked at him with wet eyes. "Thank you," she said in a voice so soft it was almost a whisper. Jack gave a small smile. "You're safe now, but was she?" He watched her while she ate. She was clearly not from Earth, not fully. Her ears were slightly pointed, and her fingers had soft blue lines glowing faintly. Yet she looked harmless, almost cute. When the food was done, she fell asleep on the couch. Wrapped in the blanket like a child, Jack sat nearby, staring at her. Who was she? Why was she out in the storm, almost dead? How did she get here? As he watched, she twitched in her sleep. Her face showed fear. Then she whispered something. "Run, no. Don't take me, please." Jack leaned closer. She said a name. "Zurich. Coming." Then silence again. Jack sat back, confused. That name. Zurich. It sounded like trouble. He stood up and checked the door, then all the windows. Nothing, no tracks. No lights outside. Just the dark woods and the rain. He returned to the couch. The girl was still asleep. Her small hands clutched the blanket tightly, like she was afraid someone would take it away. Jack sighed. He didn't ask for this. He liked his quiet life. But now this strange alien girl had fallen at his doorstep, starving and terrified. He looked at her again. She needed help. Not just tonight, but maybe more. "Guess you're staying, little one," he said softly. He didn't know what was coming. But deep down, something inside him had already changed. This wasn't just about kindness. It was the beginning of something. Much bigger. The storm had passed, but inside the cabin, the air was still heavy. Jack stood at the kitchen counter, pouring hot tea into a mug. The silence was thick, too thick. He glanced at the couch. She was gone. His heart jumped. He rushed to the living room, eyes scanning the room, and then he saw her. She was crouched behind the curtain, eyes locked on the window. Her whole body was shaking, and her breath came out in small, panicked gasps. "Ilna?" Jack said carefully. She didn't look at him, just kept staring through the glass, like something terrible was waiting outside. Jack stepped closer, slow and calm. "It's okay. It's just trees. Just wind." "No," she whispered. Watch." Jack moved to the window. There was nothing. Just morning mist and the woods stretching beyond. "No one's out there," he said gently. She still didn't believe him. Her arms wrapped tightly around her knees. "They send eyes. Small, silent. They follow me." Jack frowned. "Who's they?" She finally looked up at him, and her eyes, those glowing blue eyes, were wide with fear. "I ran," she whispered. "But they always find what they own." Jack's stomach tightened. He walked to the kitchen, grabbed a slice of bread, and returned to her. "Eat first. We'll talk later." She took it slowly, like she thought it might vanish after a few bites. Her body relaxed just a little. Jack gave her a soft towel and some dry clothes, old but clean. She looked at the clothes, confused. "You wear them," Jack said with a smile. "They're not pretty, but they're warm." She nodded slowly and moved to the bathroom. Jack stood by the window, staring at the woods. What was she hiding from? And what kind of people call a living being their property? A few minutes later, she stepped out. The clothes were big on her, but she looked less like a ghost now. She walked toward Jack and stood quietly beside him. "You didn't ask," she said softly. "Ask what?" "Where I come from, why I'm here, why I was like that." Jack glanced at her. "You were hungry. That's enough for me." She stared at him, confused again. "No one helps for nothing." "Well," Jack shrugged, "maybe humans do." She sat down near the fire. Her fingers traced the warm mug Jack handed her. After a long silence, she spoke. "I'm Elna," she said. "I was born on a ship. Never saw a sky until I escaped." Jack raised an eyebrow. "Escaped?" Elna nodded. "They bought me. Said I was made strong, fast, pretty, but I didn't want to be used." "Used how?" Elna looked down. "To clean, to serve, to smile when told, like a pet." Jack felt anger stir in his chest. "Last week I broke a plate. They didn't feed me for 3 days. Then they said they'd sell me to a worse place." She looked at Jack again, her voice shaking. "So I ran. Took an emergency pod. Landed in your forest." Jack leaned back. "You're safe now." Elna shook her head. "Not forever." She pulled her sleeve up. On her arm was a faint glowing mark like a brand. "This tracks me. Sends signal." Jack stared at it. "Can we remove it?" Elna hesitated. "It's under the skin." "It hurts, but yes, maybe." Jack stood. "Then we'll try." Elna blinked. "You'd help? Even now?" Jack gave a tired smile. "You're not a thing. You're a person. If no one else sees that, then screw them." Suddenly, she leaned forward and touched his hand gently. "You feel different." "I hope that's a good thing," Jack said. She nodded. "Feels like family." The word made Jack's heart tighten. He hadn't heard that in years, but before he could answer, beep. A small red light flashed on his wall console. Emotion alert. Jack rushed over and opened the camera feed. A tiny drone hovered at the edge of the forest. Elna gasped. "That's them." Jack's jaw clenched. "Not on my land." He pulled out a large coat, handed Elna a hat. "Put this on." "Stay close. Where are we going?" she asked, to someone who knows how to break things. Elna nodded. For the first time, her eyes held more than fear. They held hope. The drone exploded mid-air. Jack didn't shoot it. Elna did. Her hand had lit up like a spark, just for a second, and the flying machine burst into flame and dropped. Now, the forest was silent again. Smoke curled up through the trees. Jack looked at her, stunned. "You said you weren't dangerous," he whispered. Elna looked down, ashamed. "I'm not. But they made me like this. I didn't ask for it." Jack said nothing. He didn't know what to say. They were on foot now, hiking through a muddy trail deep in the woods. Jack knew where he was going, an old friend's bunker. Hidden, secure, off-grid. Elna followed quietly. wearing his oversized coat. She didn't complain about the cold, but she kept glancing behind them, like the trees themselves might reach. Out and grab her. After an hour, they reached a steel door built into a rock face. Jack knocked 5 times in a strange rhythm. A slot opened. A man's voice barked. "Password?" Jack grinned. "You still don't trust me, Will." The door opened. With a loud hiss, "I trust you, but not whoever's behind you." Will was tall, with grease-stained hands and cybernetic goggles. He stared at Illa. Jack stepped in. "She's with me." "She needs help," Will frowned. "That's an alien." "Yeah," Jack said, "and she's in trouble." Ilna didn't speak. She looked around, amazed by the glowing machines and blinking lights inside the bunker. Will led them into a small lab. He gave Elna a seat and began scanning her arm. "This is high-grade tech," he muttered. "Military-style tracker, buried under the skin. Deep. Can you remove it?" Jack asked. Will shook his head. "Not without hurting her. And it'll alert whoever's watching." Elna looked at Jack. "Then don't. It's okay." "No, it's not," Jack replied. "You shouldn't live your life being hunted." Will glanced between them. "You really care about her, don't you?" Jack didn't answer, but the look in his eyes said everything. Will sighed. "I have one trick. I can mask the signal, maybe fake a shutdown." "Do it," Jack said. As Will worked, Alia sat still. But inside, her heart raced. No one had ever protected her before. No one had ever fought for her. She was born to serve, made to obey, but this human, he treated her like she mattered. "Done," Will finally said. "The signal's dead for now. But if they get close, they'll still find her." Jack helped her up. "We'll move again if we need to." But Will wasn't done. "Jack, you need to see this." He pulled up a screen. A news broadcast from a distant colony world. A photo appeared. Alna. Her face. Her glowing eyes. Bioasset number 742 escaped from containment. Dangerous. Stolen property. Reward. 100,000 credits. Jack's blood turned cold. Alna covered her mouth in shock. "They think you're not even a person," Jack said quietly. "Just a thing." "That's all I've ever been," she whispered. He stepped close. "Not anymore." She looked up at him, eyes full of something new, something soft. "You make me feel real." Will watched them silently. Then he cleared his throat. "You two should go. They'll track that drone crash eventually." Jack nodded. "Thanks, Will." As they left the bunker, the rain started again. But this time, Elna didn't look afraid. As they walked, she spoke softly. "When you first found me, I thought you'd leave me. I was ready to die." Jack stopped and looked at her. "Why me?" She smiled. "Because you opened the door." They kept walking. Birds sang quietly through the misty trees, but far behind them, deep in space, a dark ship received a signal, a partial ping, faint, but not gone, and someone on that ship growled, "She's still alive." Jack had seen war. He had fought monsters, human and alien alike, but nothing shook him like watching Ellen cry while hiding behind a tree. She didn't cry loudly. Her tears were silent, steady, falling down her pale purple cheeks as she stared at the flyer Will had given them. Her face wanted, her name, numbered. Her worth, just a price. "I don't want to be hunted anymore," she whispered. Jack knelt beside her in the forest. He gave her the last bite of dry ration. "They'll never take you, I promise." She looked at him, eyes shining. "Why are you doing this for me?" Jack didn't answer right away. He stared at the rising sun through the trees. "Because I see you," he finally said. "Not your glow, not your powers. Just you." Elna blinked fast. Her lips trembled. Then she gave the smallest smile, like she was still learning how to make one. They had camped overnight in the woods, hiding from air scans. Jack knew the trackers wouldn't stop. Not for food. Not for sleep. Not even for laws. Whoever owned a law before wanted her badly. Jack needed help, not just Will's machines. He needed someone who understood power, politics, and how to break them. So he took her to someone from his past. The old bar sat deep underground, hidden behind a false door in an abandoned city. The lights flickered. The smell of oil and rust was thick. Ilna stayed close to Jack, nervous. "Don't talk," Jack whispered to her. "Just watch." Inside, rough-looking aliens and ex-soldiers leaned on broken furniture, drinking and laughing. But when Jack stepped in, the room grew quiet. He walked up to the bar. A tall woman with gold cybernetic eyes turned to face him. Well, she said. "Jack Rayner. Alive and dragging trouble again." "I need your help, Ori." "Jack." "Sod." Ori raised an eyebrow. "What kind of trouble?" Elna stepped out from behind Jack. Everyone froze. Ori blinked. "That's a Class X bioasset." "Jack, are you insane?" "She's not an asset. She's Elna, and she needs protection." Ori looked at Elna. "They'll pay good money for her." Jack didn't blink. "You try that, and I'll bury this whole bar." Ori smirked. "Still full of fire, huh?" Jack leaned in. "I need fake IDs. And somewhere clean." Ori studied Elna again, then she sighed. "I'll help, not because of you, but because she's looking at me like a scared puppy, and I hate scared puppies." Elna gave a small, confused smile. Later, in a back room, lit by warm lights, Ori handed Elna new clothes, plain, human style. She even cut her hair to hide the glow in her strands. Elna looked in the mirror. "I don't even look like me." Jack placed a hand on her shoulder. "That's the point. You get a new face, a new chance." Elna nodded. "But will I ever be free?" Jack didn't lie. "Not yet, but we'll fight for it." That night, Jack dreamed of fire, chains, screams, a girl's voice crying out, "Please, not again." He woke up sweating. Beside him, Elna slept curled up in a blanket, peaceful, safe for now. He stood and walked out into the alley. But he wasn't alone. A shadow stepped from behind a dumpster. Tall, armed, helmeted. Jack's blood went cold. "You're harboring stolen property," the voice said through a mask. Jack didn't blink. "She's not property." The bounty hunter aimed a shock rifle. "Turn her in or die here." Jack smiled, just a little. "Over my dead body," he said. The fight was fast. 2 punches, 1 dodge. Jack slammed the man's head into the metal wall. The mask cracked. The man fell. Jack searched him. Standard bounty gear. But his tracker had already sent a signal. "Damn," Jack muttered. Inside, Elna was awake. She stared at him wide-eyed. "Did they find us?" Jack nodded. "We move." Again. Elaine looked down. "I'm sorry." Jack stepped forward. "No, you don't get to be sorry. You get to live." She looked up, her voice soft. "I'm scared." Jack held out his hand. "So am I, but we're in this together." She took his hand. Together, they ran into the night, chased not just by enemies, but by a truth neither of them could escape. She was more than special, and someone out there would do anything to get her back. Jack wasn't breathing. He was staring. Elna stood between him and the attackers, her small frame glowing from within. Arms out, eyes bright with fire. She didn't scream. She didn't run. She didn't cry. She changed. Light pulsed from her fingertips. A slow hum filled the alley. The bounty hunters froze. Their weapons sparked, metal warping as if the air had turned to liquid. Then boom. A shockwave burst from Isla's body. The men hit the ground like dolls, unconscious. The streetlights shattered. Above, the air smelled like thunder. Then, silence. Jack rushed forward. "Elna?" She fell into his arms, weak, shaking, eyes fluttering. Her glow faded quickly. "I'm sorry," she whispered, her voice thin. "I didn't mean to. It just..." happened. Jack held her close. You saved us. She tried to smile, but her body was limp. I didn't want you to see that part of me. Jack looked into her eyes. Why? Because when I use it, I feel like what they called me, a weapon. They took refuge in an old fuel station that hadn't seen visitors in years. Jack dragged furniture to block the doors. Elna lay wrapped in a blanket, sipping warm broth. Her hands still trembled. You said they made you this way, Jack asked. But how? Elle looked at her fingers. They didn't build me. I was born this way. But when they found out, they trained me to stay quiet unless ordered. She glanced at him. They sealed my power, kept it hidden under skin, told me using it made me dangerous. Jack stared at her. They were afraid of you. They said I'd break things, hurt people. And now I have. Jack knelt beside her. You saved my life. But I almost destroyed the street, she said. I'm scared of what else is inside me. Jack took her hand. You are not a danger. You are not a tool. You're a person. She looked up at him. Then why do I only feel alive when I'm with you? Jack didn't answer right away. The silence between them said more than words ever could. Then, a soft ping came from his wristband. A message. You've made the list, Jack. 200,000. Credit bounty. You and the girl. Unknown sender. Jack stared at the message, then slowly turned the screen off. He didn't show her. Instead he said, We leave in the morning. Elna nodded. Where? Jack looked out at the stars. To a place where your name isn't a number. Before sunrise, they reached the Junklands, a scrapyard planet full of broken ships and forgotten tech. Here, no one asked questions. And if they did, they didn't live long enough to tell others. They met with a doctor in the underground. Nervous-looking alien with long arms and oily goggles examined Ola. He frowned. You've been modified, he said. There's a control lock around your neural core. Old tech, painful to remove. Can you do it? Jack asked. The doctor hesitated. I can try, but she must agree. It might hurt. Elna looked scared. But then she looked at Jack. I want it out, she said. I want to be free. The doctor nodded. Then lie back. This won't be easy. It took hours. Jack paced outside the room. Screams, silence, more screams. He gritted his teeth, fists clenched, wanting to break down the door, but he trusted her choice. When the door finally opened, Ale stood there, sweating, weak, but free. The glowing scar on her arm was gone. Jack ran to her. She leaned into him. It's over, she whispered. I don't feel the chain anymore. He helped her walk outside, under the sun. It was dusty and red and smelled like rust, but it felt new. She looked around, blinking in the light. Then she smiled, a real smile, full, bright, alive. I feel light, Jack grinned. Good, because now we run towards something, not away from it. Elna stepped closer to him. You didn't just feed me, Jack, she said softly. You gave me something no one ever did. What's that? She whispered, myself. And for the first time, she held his hand, not in fear, but in strength. The stars above them were quiet, but Elna wasn't. She stood barefoot in the dry sand, eyes closed, head tilted toward the sky. The cool night breeze lifted her short hair slightly, and the soft hum of her breath was the only sound. Jack watched her from the campfire, confused. They had escaped again, barely. Another bounty hunter ambush. Another city left behind. Now they were hiding in the middle of the desert, surrounded by wrecked metal towers from an ancient alien war. Safe, for now. Elna had been acting strange since sunset. Still, calm, silent. Jack finally stood and walked over. What are you doing? Elna opened her eyes, listening. Jack frowned. To what? She turned her head slowly. To the memory of the stars. Jack raised an eyebrow. That doesn't make sense. She smiled faintly. It's not supposed to. They sat down together on a cold rock. Elna wrapped the blanket tighter around her shoulders. I remember something I never told you, she said. Jack leaned in. What? My power, it's not just a weapon, she whispered. It's a map. A map? She nodded. My blood is an ancient genetic memory coordinates to a place that doesn't exist on any chart. A hidden world. My creators. They were looking for it. Jack was silent. Elna continued. That's why they kept me alive. Not because I was pretty, not because I was useful, but because they couldn't read the map without me. And now? Jack asked. They'll keep coming, she said, eyes glowing slightly. Until they find that world. Or until they kill me to extract the code. Jack clenched his jaw. Then we find it first. Ella stared at him. You'd really go with me? He nodded. You're not running alone anymore. She blinked quickly, surprised. Then she whispered, I thought I was broken. But maybe I'm just unfinished. Jack smiled. And I like building things. Suddenly, boom. A deep echo rolled across the desert like a drumbeat. Dust rose in the distance. Lights flickered on the horizon. Elna's eyes widened. They found us again. Jack stood fast, grabbing his pulse rifle. We can't run forever, he said. We need help. Elna hesitated. There is someone who might protect us. Who? My sister. Jack looked at her in shock. You never said you had family. She's not like me, Elna said. She stayed loyal. She became a bounty hunter. But she loved me once. Jack narrowed his eyes. Can she be trusted? Elna whispered, I don't know. 3 hours later, they stood in the ruins of a hollowed-out orbital station, silent, burned and cold. Elna stood alone, holding a small silver pendant. She pressed the center. A blue light blinked. Jack stood behind her, tense, ready. Then a sound. Boots. A shadow stepped from the metal corridor. Tall, strong, elegant armor. Helmet reflecting the moonlight. Hello, Elna, the woman said, removing the helmet. She looked older than Elna, sharper but the same glowing blue eyes. Elna took a shaky step forward. Zira. Jack stayed behind, watching every move. Zira looked at her sister. I thought you were dead. I should be, Ella said. But he saved me. Zira's eyes moved to Jack, the human. His name is Jack, Ilnea said firmly. And he's my family now. Zira stared at her sister, emotion flickering for just a second. Do you know what you're carrying in your blood? Yes, Ilnea said. And you trust him with that? Elna smiled, soft but strong. I trust him with everything. Zira looked at Jack again. Then let's hope your trust is not a mistake. Jack stepped forward. Can you help us or not? Zira paused, then nodded slowly. There's one place left, the Grave Star. No one goes there. Not even bounty lords. We can hide. Maybe even find what's buried in her code. Jack took Ilnea's hand. Then let's go. Elna looked. Between them, her sister, her protector. Her past. And her future. And she whispered, let this be the last time we run. The Grave Star was not a planet. It was a dying sun. Wrapped in silence and secrets. Around it, broken ships floated like bones. Empty shells from wars long forgotten. No law, no patrols. No life. Jack had seen many strange places, but this place felt like it was waiting for something. Or someone. They landed deep inside a shattered battle cruiser, hidden in the star's shadow. Zira guided the ship, but her eyes never left her sister. Elna sat quietly, staring at her hand. The fee glow was gone now. Her powers were sealed again, by her own choice. I don't want to be used anymore, she had told Jack. Even by my own gift. Jack didn't try to change her mind. He understood. Sometimes real strength wasn't in power, but in choosing peace. Inside the broken cruiser, ancient alien tech pulsed gently. Zira led them to a room, circular, cold, and glowing with symbols. "This was once a vault," she said. "Built by the ones who created Elna's bloodline." Jack looked at the walls. They shimmered with memories, images of people who looked like Alea, but taller, brighter, sadder. "They were hunted," Alea whispered. "Because they could heal, build, destroy. They weren't trusted, just like me." Zira placed her hand on the center console. "But one of them left something behind, a message, a choice." Suddenly, the console glowed, and a soft, ancient voice filled the room. "The one who carries our spark may choose, hide it forever, or pass it on, but never both." Elna stepped forward. She closed her eyes. Her body glowed, not in fear, not in pain, but in peace. A beam of light wrapped around her, and then faded. The vault dimmed out. It was over. Zira stared. "You locked it?" Alea nodded. "Yes, it's no longer a weapon. Not even I can use it now." Jack stepped to her side. "What happens now?" Alea turned to him. "Now, I live." Days later, they sat under an artificial sky on a hidden farming colony, one built inside a massive asteroid. Jack had taken a job fixing water pipes. Elna helped children in the greenhouses. No one asked questions here. No one cared about her past. Jack watched her laugh with a little alien boy. She gave him a flower she grew herself. The same girl who once collapsed on his doorstep, starving and scared, now smiled like the sun lived inside her. Later that night, she sat beside Jack on the roof. "I had dreams," she whispered, "of dying alone, chained, silent." Jack looked at her gently. "And now?" she smiled. "Now I dream of gardens, of warmth, of your voice." She placed her head on his shoulder. "You didn't save me because of what I could do," she said. "You saved me because of who I am." Jack held her hand. "Your family," she nodded, "and your home." They sat together in the quiet, surrounded by stars that no longer scared her, but far away, in the darker corners of space. Whispers still spoke of a girl who glowed. A girl who could change fate, but they'd never find her again, because she had chosen not to be a legend. She had chosen to be loved.